Welcome to an out-of-the-box preview video. Today I am looking at the Ferryman, a solo post-apocalyptic adventure. This is currently on Kickstarter, and I have been provided with a copy of the game by Nightbird Games to do this video. So everything you see here is pre-Kickstarter or in the Kickstarter, so things may change, but I'm going to have a look at what I've been given, and then you can decide whether it's a game that you like the look of. I'm a big fan of post-apocalyptic games. If you've seen any of my videos, I like a zombie adventure. This one doesn't seem to have any zombies in it, but that's okay. It's a solo game, so that's really good. The game comes as a booklet and a set of maps and character sheets that you need to print out. So I printed them out and laminated them. The action itself happens on this map as you move around it and annotate it. It is a roll and write, so you'll need a pen to write things. You'll need some dice to roll and some other little tokeny things. I've got a meeple token, I've got some tokens for some raiders, and some other tokens that represent sandstorms. The game itself is fairly simple. It's got two phases. The first phase is an action phase where you either travel and explore, so move to a different area of the map. So when you travel, then you can explore that area, or you can do a camp action, and a camp action does the usual things that you'd expect. You get to heal, you can do repairs, maybe scout a location, or hunt for supplies. When you've done your turn, then the game does a threat phase. They have roaming threats that might turn up, so they're the sandstorms or the raiding parties. The adventure itself is driven by what you have in your bus, your battle bus. This kind of exploring the wilderness. So you have your standard things like rations, you've got ammo for your guns, you've got first aid. Gasoline is a big one. As you move around the different terrain, as you discover different terrain, they use up different levels of gasoline, so you need to manage that. Your bus has armor plating, which again you lose in combat, which I'll talk about in a minute, and that determines your survival in the environment. The currency are these things called chips. You can collect those and spend those when you visit towns. You're a big bus, so you have a section for passengers. You can pick up random passengers and transport them back as a ferryman back to a city, which I'll talk to you about in a minute. But you can also pick up named companions that give you them bonuses during the game. Then there's a section here for notes, and effigies are kind of warning things that you can build or get characters to build for you that help you in combat. You have a maximum of 18 on your bus, so that's something to watch out for. And yeah, so the game itself is driven like an adventure game, so it's a lot of tables. So the game itself, I've talked about the phases, is set on a map. And then you have sets of tables, and so when you move to a new piece of terrain, you roll for it, whether it's going to be barren, rugged, or dunes, or impassable. That determines what happens when you move on to it, and it determines how much gasoline you're going to use, which you need to manage. So first time you go into a new piece of terrain on your map, you roll for the terrain. Then if you move there for the first time, you roll for a travel event to see if something happens. So there's a lot of dice rolling, but that's nice because it gives you that randomization. It means that every game's going to be a little bit different and you can't predict what's going to happen. You've got tables for when you're camping, so there might be a camping event happens. If you run out of gasoline, you become stranded. And again, you roll on that to see if you get more gasoline so you can continue your adventure. And then there's tables for random companions. You either pick up companions that help you on your way, or when you go to one of the main cities, there's a cost in chips. And then, so the adventure itself is driven around missions. And so there is a central city, Sprocket City, where you start and you often return back to. So you'll get missions from Sprocket City that will be tagged on the map. You get to pick which is the endpoint, but you can only go to each one once. So it means that if you pick all the early ones, close ones for your early missions, then they get significantly harder as you go through the game. But then that's good because it scales for hardness. There's some impassable areas, so you'd have to go around them. And so when you're in Sprocket City, you can have up to 2 missions at a time. You roll on the missions chart, and that gives you more details. And maybe an escort mission, maybe you have to take something somewhere, maybe you have to pick something up, maybe you have to collect a certain number of passengers, maybe you need to find some information that will allow you to change a different mission. Often the missions then have rewards that are either in chips or in supplies. So you've got your mission, sets of missions. So there's 12 unique missions that you can do on this basic map. This game just cries out for expansions, but that's something that may happen later. So it's got 12 missions, which is good variety. When you move onto a new area, so you do your travel event, and you've done your terrain event, you can then explore it. You can explore each different location once. You roll on the exploration map. That can trigger new things. And again, that's where your randomness. And even within each of the explorations, there are dice rolling for what's going to happen. So there's lots of different things that can happen. So your explorations are done on a D66. So you roll 2 dice. And the first one is the first number and the second one is the second number. So having 2 dice that are a different color makes it easier. There are lots of events. How many we get down to? 66. Well, not 66 because they're not D6. There's vehicle sheets. There's 2 different types of vehicle sheets. I like the look of this one. So that's the one I printed and laminated. There is an alternative one. I kind of like this one because I've got more room to write stuff. But this one's nice as well. It's got some different logos. I just added them in my print. And you trundle around the world, the map, exploring the area, completing missions until you have got your battle bus, your vehicle, to a level of, I guess, resource that you feel you can escape. And you just then move off one of the edge of the map, and there's an end game set of roles that you then have to, events that you have to get over, and determines whether you win the game or not and survive in this harsh world. The combat is very simple. So if you have to have some kind of combat, you will roll a dice, and that will give you a base number. Well, that would be terrible. 1. You can increase that base number by spending ammo. So if I wanted to spend 5 ammo, I could get that up to a 6. Then you'd roll whatever dice is whatever you're fighting, whether it's some pack of dogs or whether it's raiders. Say if it was a 2d6 raiders, you would roll that, and that would get you a 5. So if I got that up to 6, I'd be fine. I'd take no damage. If I hadn't put any ammo on that, I would take 4 damage. You take the difference in damage, and that comes off your first aid. Or you can take it off hit points off your passengers or your companions. Each companion has 3 life. A passenger only has 1. So you don't want to start killing off your passengers. You wouldn't be a very good ferryman. You also have a thing called effigies that sometimes you can collect them, or you can build them if you have the right companion. And they take points off the enemy rolls. And so you can either spend ammo or put forward effigies before you roll, and then it determines. So there's a kind of strategic, how much do you want to spend now, which you might lose later. But then ultimately, depending on how much first aid you've got. If you've got no passengers, no first aid, and you take a damage, you die. That will be the end of game. I think that's pretty much covered. So let's play. With these kind of games, it's often easier to see how it plays. And I'm going to go from the very beginning and see how we go. So I've got my dice tower here, which I will use as necessary. I'll put my map up there, and I'll try not to knock that over too much. We start in Sprocket City, or Sprocket. There we go, my little meeple. And I'm just going to read the setup. When you start, where you go, you get 2d6 rations, ammo, and first aid. So I'm going to get 7 rations. You need rations for some events generate. You have to feed your whoever's on your bus. And so I've got 10 ammo. I've got, I'm getting good rolls. 10 first aid, and 2d6 chips. Oh, getting a lot of 10s. And you get 75 gas. You do a lot of rubbing out, so if you like rubbing things out, then this will work out. My armor plating gets 50, and I get a companion at no cost. And they vary. Some of them are more useful than others. The ones that generate. So let's roll on our 2d6, and we get an 11, which is Maxine. So I'm going to put that in my passenger list. Maxine. Special, suffer 1 wound to deal 2+2 attack, and she can instantly defeat any enemy, but at the cost of her own life. Ooh. Okay, so put plus wound, plus. I just like to write a little summary there so I know what's going on. So she's my first. Yeah, she would have cost me 30, so that was a saving. Then we roll on the missions table to see what missions I get. You can start with 2. You can only ever have 2. I like to have 2 because then it gives me a bit of flexibility. So it's a d6, 2d6, and I get 9. Charter from Hell. These are all very story driven, so a bit of reading, but it gives you a nice kind of rich lore to go with your adventure. You hear an arrogant man throwing a fit at another driver for not giving him a ride. Fed up with the commotion, he steps up and demands what the deal is. He calms down, blah blah blah. Percy has joined your party for the duration of this mission. Oh, okay, so I've got a new person, Percy. So this is mission 9. I like tagging them, so then I know which ones I've done, because you can only do each mission once. Let's see what Percy gives us. Percy gives us Percy. If you encounter harvesters who are bad, they're like slavers, you can trade Percy to avoid conflict. Oh, that's nasty. Or if you have the luxury keyword, he offers to pay you 50 chips for the items. Lose the keyword if you do. Okay. So he's kind of a harvester. I usually fight the harvesters because I'm not a big fan of slavers. Okay, so mission 9. So we need to ferry him to a wasteland landmark. Engage in a fight with enemies that pose a threat, or return to Sprocket if he's wounded. Okay, so we have to ferry him to a landmark and then have a fight at some point, and then return back to Sprocket and gain 30 chips. Okay, so let's go for a close one. I'm just going to tag this one as mission 9. Then I know which one I'm going for. And then I'm going to roll for another mission, because I might get something else that I want to do first. And I get a 6. And a 6 is outgoing mail. Okay, I've done this one before. Someone wants me to take a letter. So I've got a notes. I've got a letter. I'll take that down. I have to take it to someone's home. So I'm going to put that as what is mission 6. Put it in my notes, mission 6. And I'm going to tag this one as mission 6. Maybe I'll do that one first. You get chips for that one as well. It's a little bit further away while things are still a bit. So that's my 2 missions. I'm good to go. One thing that you need to note is the first time you go out, the first the first terrain you go to is going to be barren. So I don't have to roll for that one, so I know that this one, I'll give it a little squiggle and I'll give it a B. I know that that one's going to be barren because that's where I'm going to go first. So that's easy. So we're off. So when I move, so we go to our turn summary. So we do either travel and explore. I'm not going to camp. So let's do travel. And because it's barren, I use 1d6 gasoline. I get 3. So my gasoline is going to go down to 72. Which seems fine, but you get through it really fast. Okay, so that gets me there. Then I have to do a travel event because I haven't traveled to this one before. And I roll R1d6 and I get a 1. Desolate landscape, eerie stillness, -1 threat. Oh yeah, there's a threat dice that determines the threat in the environment. It's currently 0, so I'm just going to stick that over here somewhere. I don't have to worry about that. I'll worry about that when it becomes relevant. Okay, so that's easy. Now I'm here, I'm going to do an explore. So you go to the exploration table, and it's D66. So yellow is going to be the first number, and then the green is going to be the second number, and I get 6-3. 6-3. You approach a large ship housing a community of metal workers who are digitally working. They offer to repair your rig in exchange for supplies. You can trade X supplies for your choice of X AP. You know what? I'm pretty good with my supplies. Or what I could have done before I left Sprocket, I could have done some trading as well, but I didn't bother because I'm happy with what I've got, but that becomes more important later. We'll do that when we come back to Sprocket this time. Okay, so I've done an explore, so we tag that because you can only explore once. And that's the end of my action phase. We then do the threat phase. There are no roaming threats. We go back to the action phase. I'm going to travel up. That's my first real travel. Go back to the travel chart. So if you like tables and rolling dice, this is the game for you. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Entity, which I've played, which is less organized. It's just a rolling, but this is more nicely structured. Anyway, terrain. We have found 4. It's rugged, treacherous terrain. Okay, so rugged. I'll give that some like mountains and give it an R, so I know that's rugged. Because you need to know what it is, because when I come back through it, I have to pay any cost for rugged ground. Rugged ground, you roll 2d6. One of them is gasoline, and the other one you assign to damage to your vehicle. That's pretty good. I think I'm going to save the gasoline. So I'll do 1 gasoline. So that knocks me down to 71, and I'll take 2 damage to my rig, because I'm okay for that at the moment. Okay, so that gets me to there. Oh no, it's when I'm there, isn't it? Because that's mission. Okay, I need to do a travel event. 5. Ooh, Wasteland Trembles, roll a d6. Oh, this is not going to be good. I get a 6. The sound of engines and drums fill the air. It's a war party. Oh, that is not great. Go to page 4. I haven't had a war party before, so let's have a look and see what war parties do. War parties appear randomly, constant damage. When they emerge, roll 1d6 to determine where they appear. So there's a compass. So I roll 1 to 6 and work out where they're going to appear, and a 6 doesn't count. We just need a 1 to 4. Here we go. 4 is going to be west. That is not great. Okay. And they won't move into a city, and they won't move into impassable. So that really narrows it down. So it's either going to get me or it's going to go off in the other direction, but we'll worry about that when we get there. Okay, so that was a very bad, travel event. That's War Party on the board. Okay, why don't I explore while I'm here? Because that was my travel event. I did my exploration. I think that's a, yep, so it's a D6, and I get a 1-6. And a 1-6 is a nothing. So, well, a 1-1 to 1-6. You get closer to your destination, suddenly appears, disappear. This is an unexpected loss of gasoline. So I lose 2d6 gasoline, which isn't great. I lose another 8. So you have to use your bit of maths. So 8. That's going to be 63. Okay, so that's my turn done. Now we do the threat phase. We resolve our roaming threat, and we have a roaming threat. We have a war party. I'm just going to check that and make sure that I do the war party correctly. Right, war party roams. Roll d6 to determine which way it's going to go. Okay, well, it can't go into Sprocket and it can't go into the Impossible, so it's either going to go that way, so odd left, even right. Even on me. Okay, so it does a 46 fight. So, oh, when you do fights, they always resolve. So you either take damage and die, or you win and don't take damage, or do you take a little bit of damage and don't die. They always resolve. So there is no multiple rounds of combat. It is just once. So a war party is 46. Okay, that is annoying. If the war party had gone the other way, everyone it jumps into, it gets an X because they're looting the squares. So that would have been bad as well. Okay, so 46. So I roll, first combat, I roll and I get the best I can, 6. I know they're going to roll 46. I have to think about how much ammo I want to spend. I am going to spend 5 because I'm a bit worried. So that gives me 11. Let's see what they do. Much better than me. So 11, so I'm going to take 6 damage. Ouch. So that'll come off my first aid, so I'm now down to 4. They're resolved, so that was painful. And then something happens at the end, blah blah blah. You resolve, see below, or war party. I gain 2d6 rations, ammo, first aid and gasoline, as well as 30 chips. Oh, after the fight. Okay, so it's not too bad. I should have used more ammo. Okay, 2d6 rations. So I get another 10 rations. This is because of the carnage that happened in the battle. I get 5 ammo. So I'm up to 10. And I get 11 first aid. I like these war parties. And I get some gasoline. 7. So that puts me back up to 70. And I do some looting, so I get 30 chips. So I'm now on 40. Wow, that's pretty good. That was the threat phase. Now we're on to the next phase, and I do my move. Well, I intend to move. I have to roll for terrain. There we go. That's why I've bound it as a booklet. Makes it a lot easier. And it's going to be a 1, which is barren, which is, I'll put a B there, which isn't too bad. It's just 1d6 gasoline. So I lose 3. So I'm down to 67. And I do a travel event. And I get a 1, which is nothing. Threat level goes down, but I don't have any threat, so that's all right. I'm going to do my explore while I can. Oops, that's wrong. I need to use the yellow dice. Forgot about that. And I get 1-4, and 1-4 is a nothing, apart from I lose 2d6 gasoline. So I'm going to lose 10 gasoline. Ouch. Down to 50. Okay. So I am at my mission. So I can deliver my letter. So what was that? Mission 6. Always helpful to go back to your missions so you don't miss anything and you get your right rewards. Mission 6. Okay, deliver the letter. Okay, he's happy. He gives me 30 chips. So now I'm on 70. And I lose my letter. And then what I do then is I usually tag down the bottom mission 6. Because I know that that one's finished. And I can rub this one off because then I've got space for more notes. And I cross off that one there. I did explore so that could go. Okay, mission 6 done. Oh, Percy. He was mission 9, wasn't he? And we've engaged with a fight. So tick, we've done that objective. We need to get into his, so we need to get him to there and then return back to Sprocket and we'll get more money. Have we got time? I could go the long way, but it'd probably be quicker if I go this way. So we'll see how we go with the gasoline. Because I've already explored there, all I have to do is pay. I don't do the travel event because it's already been pretty sure the travel events are done. You don't roll if return to your zone, but I do have to pay the gasoline. So that's 2d6 to get to there. 9. So I'm down to 48. And then 1d6 to get there. And the box doesn't count. Out of the box. Okay, that's 2, so I'm down to 42. Could go back to Sprocket. Maybe I'll do that. Because that's a good thing. Doesn't cost you anything to go back to Sprocket. But you have to have gas. So I've got gas. So when you go back to Sprocket, a whole lot of stuff happens. But it's good to go through this. So when you get there, you get 1d6 chips for every passenger that you've transported. I don't have any extras. I didn't pick any up, so I get nothing for that. They get removed. Each companion heals. I gain 1d6 armor plating, or I can spend chips. So I'll just have the 1d6. That gets me back up to 50, which is handy. Then I can scout any zone, so I'm going to use that ability to scout there. So we go to the terrain table and I get a 2, which means it's barren, so that's helpful to know. And you can scout anywhere, so it's almost like getting some information from locals. I can recruit a companion. I've got 2. I don't think I need another, but I'm going to roll on it. Because if you get the Skinner, every time you win a battle, you get effigies, which are really useful. So I'm going to roll 2d6, and I get a 7, which is Hans. What does he do? Everyone in your party heals an additional 2, plus 1 H points when they rest. 25 chips. Yeah, I'm not too bothered about that, so I'm going to give that a miss. And oh, what else do we happen when we get here? Oh, I can get a new mission. I'll do that. Because I've finished one mission, I can go back on the mission trail, and what's that? It's the 2d6. And I get mission number 4. Liquid gold. You hear a whistle. Oh, this is an escort job. And I get 25 chips per zone. So maybe I'll take this one. Mission 4. I'll stick that down here. Mission 4. go to the drop-off points. At the start of each turn, you have to defend the raider from 2d6. Raiders. You have to defend the tanker from 2d6 raiders. If they deal more than 5 damage in a single round, it fails as the tanker veers off. Probably want lots of ammo for that one. Anyway, that's good to have on board, because now I've got choices. What am I doing? I'm back in Sprocket, aren't I? I am going through my Sprocket checklist. So you've got this list. I've got my mission. I can barter. So to barter, you pick something. So maybe I want to think about ammo. You roll 2 dice. And one of them is the quantity and one of them is the cost. So the low value is the quantity. So I roll 2 dice. And for, bad example, but anyway. The low number, there's 5 ammo available and they're going to cost me 5 each. I think I'm going to go for it because ammo is handy. So I'll get 5 more ammo. It's going to cost me 25, which means I've got 35 left. 35? 45. 45 and 25 is 70. Yep. Okay, so that was worthwhile. And I could have done it for the other things. Maybe we'll look at first aid. And I get 1 available for 1 chip. Okay, fine. I'll take it. At that price, you'd be silly not to. Okay, rations. Let's see if we can get some different numbers. Hey, so there's 3 rations available at 4 each. Yeah, too expensive. Don't want any. Gasoline. Is that the same? Yeah, maybe I'll go with gasoline as well. See what that's going for. There's 5 units at 6, which is quite expensive. I'm going to leave that. I should be fine. So that would be the end of Sprocket. Then I have to make a decision on what I want to do next. I've got 2 choices. I can either take my companion Percy on a trip to this one here, which should be fairly easy, then bring him back again. Boom. Get some more chips. Or I can go on the escort mission. I'll probably do the Percy one first, because this one I want to have a lot of ammo, because every turn I'm going to be attacked by raiders as they try and get the tanker. You build up your resources and then you make a decision of when you want to leave the map. This is neat. I like games of tables. I like games of rolling dice. The little bits of lore that are in here, and the areas are got enough depth to be interesting. There's choices within there. Sometimes you get a choice of do you run away, or do you try and rescue the people? Do you intervene? There are consequences for that. So there's decisions, but it's also driven by dice. But you can manipulate the dice by, if you've got enough ammo, you get in a fight, you can throw some ammo at it, means you're going to win, or throw some effigies at it. Yeah, nice little solo post-apocalyptic adventure. So it's currently on Kickstarter. If you like these kind of videos, don't forget to subscribe and like.